Republican, it doesn't really matter. There's always going to be overreach. There's always going to be overstep. There's always going to be somebody trying to get more power for themselves and then limit the power of those underneath them. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that if something's ineffective, why wouldn't you cut it?
There's
And it
no
has been
proof at
shown to
all
be
that these programs are ineffective in these areas. Even if they were ineffective, you don't pause them like suddenly. You give some type of draw out so people can find other arrangements, but there's no reason to think it's ineffective. This current administration wants to kill government, and they're doing it in a slow burn so people don't get too mad. But their goal is to ruin government and to sell it off to private companies. That's explicitly their goal. So like that's what they're doing. So like I can't really answer every single question about it, but that's what they're trying to do.
No, that's fine. But just one question: like, what private companies do you think are being paid off and given more authority in this administration?
Palantir. You know Palantir and Peter Thiel?
I do know. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know Palantir.
Yeah, so that's a big one. When Trump says he wants to make a golden dome, that's with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel doing a circle jerk together around all of our personal information. So,
are you opposed to the golden dome?
Yeah, I'm opposed to it because it's stupid, it's not real, and it's going to be a surveillance state. There's no reason to think it's even logical. I mean, China is laughing at us, honestly. There's no reason to think that's even like a possible, feasible thing.
Do you think China's better suited than we are as a country?
Better what?
Better suited as a country as far as, say human rights goes, or as far as not being a surveillance state, because we all know China is a surveillance state.
No, like in terms of human rights, we're getting closer to China under Trump. We're getting worse. And the thing is, like, China's much more competent than we are. So if we become more authoritarian, we have a really stupid person in charge. So China's going to take control if we are going to be authoritarian too.
How exactly do you think China's more competent than we are? Like in any way, in any fashion.
Yeah, and the Golden Dome, all that funding goes to Elon Musk directly, which is kind of crazy. China's more competent with their industry. China's more competent with their currency. China understands economics. Our president has no idea how economics works or business. Yeah, I mean, China has won this trade war easily by Trump just like giving a self-embargo to the U.S. I mean, Trump hurt the U.S. somehow in this entire thing, the worst.
Okay, well, so in that sense, then, do you think that China could beat the U.S. militarily?
No, but I mean, if we have a military conflict between America and China, the world's probably over. So like,
the world is probably over, but there's always obviously going to be not necessarily a clear winner, but there will be a winner. There will be a loser. And
no, like China's going to beat us in the other ways that matter in the modern era. So intelligence, cybersecurity, cyber attacks. Like China's dominating right now. In STEM right now, we're losing researchers. No, I'm saying that Trump is making us bow down because he's making America suck. We're losing researchers to other countries. We're losing economic stability. We're losing everything right now.
So in that same sense, so we had a spy balloon fly over the entire southern continental United States. Yeah, we had a Chinese spy balloon fly over the United States under Joe Biden, and it finally shot down. And, as soon as it completed its mission. And so you're saying that now we're more under threat of the Chinese government than.
There's no reason to believe that Chinese spy balloon could have captured any more information than satellite can, or also like Trump's top crypto donors, the Trump coin, are all Chinese billionaires. And there's good evidence that they hacked into our systems with Doge control. There's a good chance Doge got hacked by China. We have whistleblowers and everything too. So China got more information from Trump so far by like easily. Like Trump won't even ban TikTok because they paid him off.
So you agree that we need to completely embargo China then? Because we're in agreement.
That's not no. Because Trump embargoed the U.S. He embargoed us. He put countries in a position to go towards China. We're helping China with Trump's trade policy.
So the tariffs.
Yeah, the tariffs help China, and that is the only policy Trump has. He has no other policy.
So why is it that every single country that deals with the United States with trade they impose their own tariffs?
I mean, countries like the UK have like a 1% or 2% tariff across the board in total, and we gave them like a 10%, 20% tariff.
We have a trade agreement with them called NATO.
That's different. That's not really trade exactly. NATO is more.
It's the same because it's the North Atlantic Trade Agreement. We have a trade agreement with other European countries and other countries across the world. But
You notice
every country that we deal with,
the
whether
T
it be
the T
Mexico
stands for
or
treaty, not trade, by the way.
what's that?
It stands for treaty organization in NATO, not trade.
Treaty.
It's not a trade agreement.
You're right. Sorry, I misspoke.
But regardless, like the tariffs Trump put on these countries is like 2 or 3 times what they put on us. So like China, for example, their average tariff on us was between 5 or 10%, and we gave them like 100 and something percent for like no reason. We gave like Vietnam a tariff. We gave Australia and the UK tariffs, and we have a trade surplus with them, and they have like a 1%, and we do have trade deals with them. So like the economic policy from Trump made no sense.
Do you not believe that tariffs could be used as a political tool in order to get people to come to the table, like they have been so far?
No, so like in America, we can just like call people to come to the table. There's a reason Trump has 0 trade deals after like 5 months of doing this bullshit. Like he has no cards apparently, but like we're America, and Trump did negotiate trade deals his first term with no tariffs. There's no reason to think we need tariffs to bring people to the table.
Well, I think that after 4 years of weakness, that we need to have some kind of strength, show the strength in order to get people to come.
Well, Joe Biden's Chips and Science Act actually did increase American manufacturing and the biggest manufacturing boom in American history since the New Deal. So Biden did successfully do that. Although, Biden was bad at tweeting and bad at talking in public, Biden got a lot more actually done than Trump did. But I know people don't like Biden because I don't like Biden, but because he's very bad publicly. He ran again at the age of 95, so that's not good. But I mean, Biden got more done than Trump did on trade.
I don't like Biden for different reasons, but I see that uniting this country itself, because this all comes back to the whole thing where we need not complete isolationists, because in the modern world you can't be an isolationist in any country in the world, but you definitely need to look out for your own interests, which is why I like the tariffs. And
it's hurting America though. Okay, the tariffs have made our economy shrink. It has given China more trade deals with other countries than they ever dreamed of. Okay, the South Korea, Japan, Europe, they've all strengthened ties with China, including let's think about Canada and Mexico as well. We told all of our allies to piss off. We said that Ukraine is a evil country and Russia is our friend. We said El Salvador is our friend, Hungary is our friend, and we turned our back on all the countries that liked us. We need to be not isolated. If we're isolated, China wins, by the way. We need to be working with countries other than China. If you want to embargo China, you need to have good relations with other countries. That's the big thing that, Trumpers don't get, is you need to have other countries in relationship with you. If we just say, oh, we're going to be isolationists, we are going to lose to China far quicker than they ever imagined.
Okay, so you're saying that tariffs are a bad thing, just overall?
No, I'm saying Trump's tariffs are a bad thing. Trump's tariffs are some of the most numbnuts policies I've ever seen a president do my entire life. And I'm only 25, but still.
Okay, so if tariffs, if a president of a country instates tariffs over a country, right? If it's so bad for that country, why would all of the other countries that we have imposed tariffs on, which I agree are astronomical, don't get me wrong on that.
If we would do what they do for us with like a 1% or 2% tariff, that would have been fine, okay? That would have made some sense.
Wasn't it 15% from Mexico?
No, we had a trade deal with them. Most, like 99.9% of our goods between Mexico and Canada were tariff-free because of our trade deal that Trump negotiated his first term.
And they violated.
No, there's no evidence they violated it. There's no evidence of that at all.
Well, from what I understand, especially when it comes from produce from Mexico, their agreement with us was violated because they kept the same rate, and people were just paying that same rate.
Mexico followed the negotiations, and Trump, I don't even think Trump made that accusation. He just said Mexico is doing fentanyl, or, Canada, Mexico did fentanyl, is what Trump said. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm just saying, if tariffs are such a bad thing for a country, why would even Mexico decided to do the same? They were threatened to do the same thing before they came back to the table and decided against it. But every country that we have threatened tariffs against, they have imposed their own tariffs. If it's so bad for a country, why would they do the same exact thing we did?
It's a trade war. So if we start a trade war with them, it's going to hurt both countries, but they need to respond in some way. It's also a political matter. So if you're a politician in the UK, for example, or Canada or Mexico, you need to respond in some way. Politics still matters for them too. So it becomes a nationalism issue. It still hurts every country involved. And if we're hurting Europe and America at the same time, we're losing to China.
You don't think China has tariffs on every single country that they
China
do?
does bad things too, yeah, but we should not join them in doing bad things with their trade partners.
I'm not saying join them in doing bad things.
But we
I'm
are
just
doing
saying
that.
We need to try to even the scales out, should we not?
But we
or
somehow
should we just
made
have free trade to the United
okay. When you
States
say things like
on
even
draining
this,
our
this is the issue with these conversations. You say even the scales because you don't have the other information that you need to have this conversation. I just don't know how to respond to you saying like we need to even the scales. I don't even know what that means in this context. We should be good trading partners to Europe and Canada and Mexico. Trump should not threaten to invade these countries, should not threaten to use military action in these countries. He should not call their leaders like governors of America or whatever. Like, he should not be doing all of this. He should not say the EU is an enemy organization to the US. He should not say that we need to leave NATO. He should not say that Ukraine is a dictatorship. He should not give preferential treatment to Russia and Qatar and Qatar, like, because they give him gifts. Like, he should not do any of this if he wants to be beating China, because all we're doing is pushing those countries more towards China.
Fair enough. But so when it comes to the Ukraine issue, so are you saying that Ukraine is not a dictatorship?
Objectively, by every standard of dictatorship, it is not a dictatorship. You can say it's a corruption-prone democracy, but there is no standard by which Ukraine is a dictatorship currently.
Well, considering that during this entire war, they haven't had an election.
Yeah, because their constitution says they cannot have an election during wartime.
We have. Every war that we've been through.
Ukraine's laws. Ukraine is following their laws. They cannot have an election when 20% of the country is occupied.
And that's fair. I understand that other countries have their own constitution and we can't impede on that. But does it still not meet the qualifications to be a dictatorship? Because
their parliament agrees with it.
Power regardless.
No, because their parliament agrees with it. Even the opposing party in Ukraine agrees with what's happening because they're following their constitution. Even the opposition party to Zelensky.
How much money do you think that they're getting from us, from the U.S. or from the West in general? How much money do you think the Ukrainian government is getting?
The last official number I saw was around 120 billion over the past, since the beginning of the invasion.
120 billion, and they're still using $50 drones from Amazon in order to affect their war effort on Russia. And where's the rest of the money going? It's not going to arms and equipment. I can tell you that personally right now.
Yeah. Patriot defense systems is most of the money. Okay, our missile defenses are most of the munitions we gave them. And we restricted them from even launching within Russia the first few years of the invasion. But yeah, the drones were really that was a really impressive military operation.
It was very impressive too. But the thing is, if you're looking at the money trail itself, the money itself is not going towards that drone system. They're using a pittance of the drone system in order to launch counterattacks against Russia.
Ukraine is getting probably 100 to 200 strikes per day on their mainland. So like when it comes to funding, all that's being used to defend from missile strikes and to help with recovery efforts and to like.
Then why are
there's no reason to think Ukraine is like embezzling money or something.
Why are there more Ukrainian soldiers now? Every day there's more and more that are being reported not have the standard body armor, enough ammunition to feed their rifles, anything in that sense. So if they're going off of their drone defense system, which I completely applaud, like they did great with that. Where's the rest of the money going? You can't tell me that Ukraine is not as corrupt, if not more, than Russia.
What you just said. Do you really think Ukraine is as corrupt or more corrupt than Russia?
Yes, I do. I think they are just as
So why hasn't the Trump admin made any of these accusations? Okay, Trump is pretty anti-Ukraine. Why has he not made any accusations of money being used in the wrong areas?
Because they still don't want to undercut a proxy war against one of their biggest rivals.
So Trump can call Zelensky a dictator. He can blame Ukraine for the war. He can say Ukraine wanted to fight Russia, but he cannot say that Ukraine embezzled funds.
Well,
I thought that was a big
thing
Trump ran on.
For the war. I'd say blame NATO for the war. Because that's the whole thing about the NATO.
He blamed Ukraine. He blamed Ukraine directly. He blamed Ukraine. He said, I don't know why Ukraine wanted to fight Russia because they're so much bigger. And they're lucky we helped them fight Russia because they got into it. So he did blame Ukraine.
I didn't
Blaming NATO is really stupid too. But like, regardless,
how is blaming NATO
it's just sad to hear a fellow red, white, and blue-blooded American say that Russia is preferential to pretty much any country. Because Russia, I mean, they want to kill Americans they're bloodthirsty
Yeah,
for
they
American
do.
soldiers. Like they pay terrorist groups to go after Americans through bounties.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. They had the
and
whole
when their
they had
people
the
vote, they
bounty
vote at
on them in
gunpoint.
Iraq.
They vote at gunpoint. Ukraine has been trying to weed out corruption for a long time. I mean, they've been moving west. They've been moving towards Europe as much as possible, but Russia keeps pulling them back in. I mean, Ukraine
Well, they're a
is
Soviet
far
state traditionally,
preferable to
so it's really
Russia.
hard for them. Yeah, I understand all that. However, I'm just saying you can't say that one is more corrupt than the other. Who's taking more money from the United States? And exactly what is that money going to? With all the money that we've given them, so like we have SAM systems we can give them. They can get CRAMs. They can get all kinds. They have enough money now. They can start funding an Iron Dome for themselves, just like Israel has, and they have
What you
not.
just said makes no sense at all. I don't even know how to respond to you, bro. Like it makes no sense what you just said. They can fund their own Iron Dome. Like, how fucking stupid are you, dude? Like, you are really like how like do
How
you
many
what's
millions
your
of
experience
dollars?
with? Okay, I assume you served, right? You're military.
Hmm.
Okay, so how do you know this? What information do you get it from?
I was in Ukraine.
Okay, what information do you get the reporting from on the finances?
When Russia pushed into the Donbass, they decided that we were going to pull out and leave the reserve troops behind with Mosin-Nagant rifles
No, like
and
right now,
British
the finance
303
reports.
Enfield
Okay,
rifles.
so like Ukraine, for example, received barely any cash from us. The money was for transporting weapons, and sending them weapons. So like,
That's
how do you
not what
know
the
that they
majority of the
embezzled
money
funds?
was.
Yes, it was
That
by
was not
far. It
so.
was a far majority.
So that may be what was reported, but it was not. Because if that was the case, then they would have been able to stand. They would have been able to stand a better chance against the first Russian assault into the Donbass, because they would have had enough arms in order to be able to fight against the Russians. And
Russia's been
most of the guys
supplemented by
that I've
China and
seen,
North Korea. They've been supplemented by North Korean troops and
not
Chinese
not during
technology
the
and
early
funding.
portions of the
But
not
regardless,
during the
Ukraine was able
early
to push
portions
them
of the
back for a
war.
reason, right? Ukraine was able to push them back for a reason after the initial front. Like, there's a reason they could push
Hmm.
them back, and there's a reason
Yeah,
they
and that
make
was because
such a
of the
strong
drone
push right now
technology.
too.
That was not because of the small arms fire that they had on the ground. Most of those guys were using Mosin-Nagant rifles that were dated from 1940 all the way to 1975. Almost nobody had an AK-74, and everybody was still just reloading rifles. And go back to the old Russian mentality: is when the guy in front of you dies, you pick up his rifle because you're only given ammunition, and you keep firing at the enemy. And that was it. And that's why they lost it.
I just
The
don't know.
money
No,
that's
okay, so like
given to Ukraine.
my only thing is I don't know, and I appreciate the call, but I don't know if I could trust anyone's opinion who says, like, for example, if you know this much about Ukraine and our aid to Ukraine, but you did not know Ukraine prevents having elections during wartime in their constitution,
They
and
do
even the opposition
prevent
party in
elections
Ukraine.
during
No, but like if you
wartime.
think that's a dictatorship, if you think Russia is better than Ukraine or comparable to
I'm not. I
Ukraine,
didn't say that
it's just
Russia is better than
insane.
Ukraine.
Even thinking there's a comparison there, like Ukraine is largely defined by trying to get away from Russia, and Russia is defined by wanting to make sure
And
Ukraine
they're
never gets
trying
to
to get
leave.
closer to the West, but at the same time, Zelensky is not going to lose his power over it. I'm
Yeah,
not
he will lose
saying
his
that.
power. He even said he would trade NATO membership for losing his power. He literally
Yeah,
suggested that as
and
an option.
that's exactly that goes to my point, because they're saying that NATO power and NATO protections led to the war in Ukraine. Did it not? Because that was one of our treaties with Russia.
No,
We
we had a
broke the
treaty with Russia
with
in
NATO
1997
expansionism.
that Putin broke. In 1997, we agreed that NATO could expand Eastern Europe, but we would not put nuclear arms on Russia's border. That was the agreement in 1997, but Putin said screw that when he got it off, when he took power or whatever.
Are you trying to say that Sweden and Norway joining NATO didn't, or not Sweden? Was it just Sweden? It might have been just
I'm
Sweden.
saying that there was collaboration with Russia, between Russia and NATO. Okay, in 1997, they said, well, NATO's going to expand, but here's the parameters, like here's the rules. On the bordering countries to Russia, you cannot put any nukes in these new NATO countries. And NATO's like, okay,
Okay,
that's good. But then Putin
so
kind of tore that all up and disregarded all the agreements.
okay, so I will grant your point on that. Okay, but explain to me this: why is it that frontline troops in Ukraine, especially during the first excursion in the Donbass region, why, if all of the funding that the American government gave them, if it wasn't actual dollars, if it wasn't actual, greenbacks, why exactly, if it was military equipment, why exactly were all of the Ukrainian soldiers being given Mosin-Nagant rifles that were from the last World War?
I don't know the exact numbers for what frontline troops are going to have in Ukraine. All I know is at the base levels. Okay, so Ukraine is a country where we can send researchers in, we can send journalists, we have people keeping accounting who are there. Okay, we can go to Ukraine freely. And I know that Ukraine, I know enough about their history, leaving the Soviet Union. I know enough about their revolutions. I know enough about the broken ceasefires with like Russia, the Minsk agreements, and like the agreements in 2014, 2015. I know enough about like Russia trying to control Ukraine. I know enough about Ukraine trying to leave Russia. I know enough about like how Zelensky has conducted himself since the beginning of the invasion. I know enough to say like in this conversation, Russia is 100% the enemy of America. So like when I think about like and my ancestry is in Ukraine and Poland and all those Eastern European countries, so I have to defend my blood, right? So like from a humanitarian standpoint, I think it's good to support Ukraine. From a if you want to say it's a proxy war to weaken Russia, I think that's one of the many perks. Weakening Russia is one of the many perks of supporting Ukraine, and that's probably the most self-serving we can.
I think it's both sides.
But I mean, Ukraine's also giving us invaluable data for our missile defenses. We are getting we're learning a lot about 21st century drone warfare from Ukraine. Like Ukrainians are dying and giving us that information that we are not paying.
Yeah, but I think there's more Ukrainians dying there's more Ukrainians dying that are actually giving us more value than the intel that we get. And I think a lot of that has to do with Ukrainian, sorry, go ahead.
When it comes to like Americans saying we paid Ukraine, we got screwed over, they should pay us back. In my opinion, they already paid us back. Like in weakening Russia and giving us this information, giving us all the intel, and still like serving as a buffer. Now we have this minerals deal. I would just say it just benefits America. I wish Biden would have went harder earlier. I wish Biden would have allowed strikes within Russia right away. But we had to give time to make sure Ukraine wasn't corrupt.
I wish Biden would have been harder earlier in this whole situation.
But that's the thing about Ukraine, though, is that like if he does go harder earlier, there was a time period where we thought, we want to make sure Ukraine can handle it, right? We want to make sure Ukraine is going to put up a fight. We're going to make sure that Ukraine is not corrupt to the point where they're not going to be able to fight back. And if we give them all this money and weaponry, we want to make sure that it's done in a controlled way. Because they did have concerns of corruption in Ukraine, so like you can understand those anxieties. And I feel like if Biden would have done that, then many like Trumpers would have been complaining as well, because they would have complained about pretty much anything at that point. But I do agree, like Biden should have let them strike aside earlier. He definitely should have done that.
Yeah, but if they were honestly waiting for Ukraine to strike and actually to show Ukrainian strength, then why did the Legion, the what is that called, the International Legion of Ukrainian Defense, why exactly did that come about? If they actually were to stand on their own to just show exactly how well they can do against the Russians, why did the International Legion of Ukrainian Defense form?
I mean, giving support to Ukraine, I think many people see the fight between like Russia and Ukraine as a fight between like it's like Ukraine separating from Russia. There are some parallels to America separating from England. Like there are some parallels of a country that is,
and there is, and I'll grant you that, considering I was, like I said, like I said, I understand why the call was there. Like there's a reason I was there.
Yeah,
but at the same time, if that's the case, then why exactly is it that when it comes to American funding and people say, oh, it's old military equipment that they didn't want to have to pay for, why were the frontline troops in the Donbass during the first excursion in the war, why was it all old military equipment from the 1940s and not semi-modernized, at least from the 60s, like M16s and stuff like that? Why wasn't it that? Why did they?
Hey, I don't know what the weapons accounting is, so I can't answer that question. I just know the stuff I do know, and I know that like when I look at the total Ukraine funding, the amount we gave Ukraine like per year is the amount of like if every American bought like 2 large pizzas, and I'm okay with that. In terms of like funding for Ukraine and the what we get back and the political arguments. Like I mean, if you want to have a conversation, you call back a different time. I could look up more information on that. But yeah, I mean, all I know is that I am happy with supporting Ukraine. I'm happy with, I do think I'm
happy with supporting Ukraine as long as Ukraine actually used the funds that they were actually given in order to actually fund the war effort and not yachts for Zelensky.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, I never saw any proof of that Zelensky thing. I saw people say he sold weapons to Mexico. There's no proof of that. Like I saw Tucker Carlson say that, but I know that Tucker Carlson got that right from the Kremlin.
I've never made that claim.
No, but I know, like Tucker Carlson is the type of guy that he works for Russian state media and he does say things like that. So I'd be careful if they're saying, because a lot of that does come from Russia. Russia's very good at the propaganda game. Hey man, I
are
appreciate
very
the
good
call. I
at that.
appreciate. I'm gonna take another caller, but I do appreciate it, man.
Yep, not a problem.
All right, have a good night, man.
All right, have a good one.
I love America. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Please donate. Please donate. I DoorDash for 14 hours today. Please. I DoorDash for 14 hours, and then I got on YouTube to talk to you wonderful people. So please consider donating to Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Okay. Please. Please, 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 please. And on coffee. Please. Please. I beg. I beg. I beg you. Oh, someone give me $5. Sri. King Sri granted me $5. Thank you. Like I love when my computer lags.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello, I'm trying to call in for the stream.
Yeah, this is the politics thing. I sound different on the fake phone number.
Okay, I'm trying to get in on this live stream. So.
Yeah, I'm here. This is him. This is him.
Oh, okay. I guess it's just delayed.
Yeah. You can mute the stream.
Okay, so I want to bring up a few things that people didn't even realize, especially about the recent Ukraine strike with the drones.
Okay.
You know, but before I go into all that, I want to know, like, what are your actual political views?
I hate using labels. I'll say I'm a Teddy Roosevelt progressive Republican. Okay, so I'm anti-monopoly. I want to make sure power is more spread out in society. It's too concentrated into the hands of a few wealthy people right now.
Okay, so if I'm going to take it at that value, could I assume basically you have no problem with the Trump, regime and everything of that nature?
Well, Trump is cutting taxes for the wealthy and helping monopolies form and killing like anti-corruption agencies. So I'm anti-Trump for that reason because he's very pro-big money.
All right, well, I get that. My only thing on that is we've had politicians in power, for generational wealth over time, and certain parties have never done anything good for America. I mean, you spoke about NATO, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that whole thing was a clusterfuck.
NATO?
The trade deals that went down and everything, the American people have always been put last.
No, okay, well, let me say this, though. So, like, I would disagree very strongly with that. So I think the American people have been put last, okay? But I think it's because when we did these trade deals, all right, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, India, all these countries make our shoes, right? So they make our shoes. They make all of our really cheap goods. They get paid very low wages. Now Americans, when it comes to the Americans who were left behind, if you have issues, America as a country, we set the world stage, all right? We profited greatly. We're the richest country in the world for a reason. But all that wealth went to the top 1% is the issue. We got the money. America got the money, all right? These countries, we screwed over those countries as America, okay? We screwed over other countries. But the issue is only a handful of people got the money, right?
Yeah, we can agree 100% on that.
Yeah, but that's why I want to tax the rich more.
It never went to the working class to actually build everything.
So would you be in favor of like taxing the wealthy more?
I honestly would, but at the same time I wouldn't, because here's the main issue. If you talk about those two things, the wealthy are the ones that create jobs. Without the wealthy, we wouldn't have an economy the way we
Yeah, but
do.
think about this though. If we did not have workers to make wealthy people wealthy, they would not have money to make jobs. And in my opinion, I think if you had money, if I had money, I think we could make some jobs. Don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, but the thing is that these corporations, they're too greedy. They don't just want to live comfortably. They want to
Yeah,
live
that's what I mean. So like we can tax them more and still make it be good to be successful. Like right now, I mean, if we tax them a little bit more at the top range, I mean, if someone's happy, if someone's happy with, $50 billion, if we take 20 billion of their dollars to help out working class Americans, I think they'll still be happy with $30 billion. I don't think I'm going to be really discouraged from working hard if I only have 30 billion instead of 50 billion,
Well, you don't even need that much, just the basics, as long as you can live comfortably. I've thought actually, but I can't get my name out there. I want to start a reverse monopoly.
Reverse monopoly.
Yes, to where we create companies to perform, goods and services at a higher value for a reasonable rate for your average American citizen. Do you remember Craftsman Tools back in the day?
Hey,
If
I'm only
you
25. I'm only 25.
Craftsman,
I don't know if I'll know what
oh,
that
okay.
place is.
I'm a bit older than you then by about 10 years, but if you were to buy Craftsman Tools, you would have that tool
Oh
for
yeah,
your
yeah.
entire
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
lifetime.
Yeah, craft. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
You know,
I thought you said something. I heard something else. My bad.
but here's the big issue. Now in America, we have tools and all products that are built to die. We don't have anything that's built to last. And that's where I thought I could monopolize and destroy every company in one night if I had enough funding, is just make good quality products that'll last a lifetime.
Now, but the issue is, right? As a company, you would lose because the free market determines that the cheaper goods that sell more for cheap are gonna sell more. You're right. So that company's gonna sell
Right.
more that produces those. So if you make a business of really high value goods, the other businesses can still sell a lot. So you'd be like a high value person that only like wealthy people can buy. So like that's the
No,
issue
no,
there, right?
you're misunderstanding. What I'm talking about is making high quality goods that your average person can buy.
Yeah, but then if they last a long time
Profits
too, they
do
don't come
not
back to buy
matter to
more.
me.
See,
As
all I'm saying
long
is
as
the free
people
market
in
has
my
decided that you lost, right? The free market is going to say that you lose because you're not going to do cheap goods. Cheap goods are the name of the game right now.
Well, I'm not going to go cheap. I'm going to go a step up. You're going to pay an extra $10, but that tool is going to last you a lifetime.
Okay.
Because not everyone in corporate needs to be making the salaries that they are. All you need is to live comfortably, because an abundance of wealth creates problems. Not having enough creates further problems.
Well,
You know,
that's why I was anti-Trump because like even with all of Kamala Harris's flaws, she wanted to raise taxes on the wealthy, and Trump wants to lower them. And I think like some people say their biggest issue is immigration. I think that it's misguided. I think the biggest issue by far is the wealthy having too much power. And like look at social media, the way it's dividing us, the way it affects our mental health. Look at artificial intelligence. These wealthy
right?
people will sell us off quick. They'll let us die to replace us with robots. So like.
Oh, AI is going to be a thing of the future, unfortunately. I went to college for electronics engineering. I know that very well. And I never graduated, thankfully, because I found out that everything that I was being taught actually was going to be not available in the marketplace once I graduated.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me just get back to Do you have something that you disagree with me on that you want to talk about quick about
Uh, Honestly, I think you're a pretty straight shooter. I'll be straight up. I mean, because you're pretty on point about a lot of things. Even though I don't 100% agree with your views, you're very respectful about it. I mean, we're always going to have problems as a human society. So my one thing though is we got to work together. We got to reduce costs on a lot of things, because if we could do like what I stated, and we could create a corporation that actually put the people first, to just make sure the employees are happy and everyone's living comfortably, you don't need to make, $5 billion a year. You really don't
Yeah,
have to.
but you sound more like you're starting to sound like Bernie Sanders when you say that.
Oh, I hate Bernie Sanders, but my whole goal is let us all live comfortably.
Yeah, but that's
Corporations
what he says, right? He says tax the wealthy, they have too much power concentrated, and we need to give it back to working people so everyone has a chance at happiness and comfortability, you know?
I do agree with you on that point. I do
No, but
kind of
Bernie
think
says
like
that too.
him.
Why do you hate Bernie Sanders? I think you agree with Bernie a lot.
No, I don't even know who he is, really.
You just said you hate him.
I know him from the shorts that I've seen, but ultimately what I believe is that everyone deserves a chance. You should get paid what you're worth.
Yeah, for sure.
And as someone that's highly skilled, my experience is actually detrimental to me. I mean, I can do electronics. I can do mechanics, I can do engineering, and it's always been a pain in my ass. And I also agree with the blue collar worker, because I spent a lot of time as a blue collar worker. And I've never done an office job, anything cushy, nothing that makes me money, ultimately, because your skills are not really cared for in America. And then you're dealing with companies like Snap-on and all that you have to mortgage your house to buy a tool. It's not acceptable.
No, I do see that. I see that with people who are going into contracting and stuff. They have to take out loans to buy their equipment. And especially if they buy a nice truck. I mean, they probably buy too nice of trucks, to be honest.
I mean,
they like their pretty trucks.
You really don't. You can make do with what you can get, but
well, I saw like I saw some old people doing some work. They're driving around like a 1995 Ford, it's all rusted, 400,000 miles on it. They can get it done. Hey, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna go to a caller that's more combative for the stream, but I appreciate it.
Can I put in one more thing though?
Yeah.
All right. So here's my whole gimmick on this thing: is I want to build quality things for a quality price that'll last a lifetime. And you can have it and pass it down to your next generation. Profits are secondary. They don't matter as long as you can actually improve the lives of the American people.
I'm telling you, I think you'll like Bernie Sanders if you look into him more. After what you just said, I think you'll like Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, everything he says, he fucking lied about. You'll find it later on, But
okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good night, man.
You as well. Thank you.
I don't know what to say sometimes, dude. I don't know what to say sometimes, dude. I don't know what to say, dude. I hate Bernie Sanders. You hate Bernie? I don't even know him. Based. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Please support the channel and Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Really appreciate it. Please help. Please, I need donations, please. Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. I'll take it. Ooh, I got a donation. Thank you so much. Oh, that's from last night. Thank you, MP, for $5 last night. I don't know if I saw that, MP. And Kit, $20. Is Kit here? Thank you, Kit. Kit. The phone line's open if you want to call. The number up there, please. The phone line's open if you want to call. Okay. How are you guys doing tonight? Jolah, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That is true. Wow, my viewership went down. It cut in half after that guy left. Trump is a stain on America's legacy. Please drop a like to help the stream get in the algorithm.
Call.
Whoa. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. So I see your thing is Trump is a dictator.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to be.
Okay, so what would you think a dictator is?
Someone who wants to do things like suspend constitutional rights whenever they want power somewhere would be, someone who I would say probably wants to be a dictator. So like when Trump said he wants to suspend the Constitution, he wants to suspend it after the 2020 election. Right now, he wants to suspend habeas corpus possibly, and the Fifth Amendment with wartime powers. So I would say that a dictator type person would want to do those things.
When has Trump ever successfully suspended any American citizen's constitutional rights?
You see, the word successfully does a lot of work there. So, like, I think he wants to. He has tried to before, but he has been told no by the people around him.
Isn't that the point of having a governmental system with three different branches?
Yeah, so you can say the guide rails have worked so far, but I'm saying he still wants to break them. I think you're kind of agreeing.
No, I'm really not, because what I'm saying is the point of having a governmental system with three separate but equal branches is that each branch needs to kind of work to push its authority to make sure that it's functioning correctly. what would happen if one day the judiciary just stopped trying to enlarge its own rights and permissions?
Well, you want every branch to advocate for themselves as much as possible, but I do not want the president, for example, to try and overreach with their authority over and over and over again. So like Trump came in saying he wants to do things like the Insurrection Act, the Alien Enemies Act. He wants to use wartime powers, national emergency powers, and he wants to exploit the presidency as much as possible and the executive branch. So like we do not want a president in a position that's going to be that exploitative over their position. The executive branch is very unique because you have control of things like the police state. So like the FBI, like the CIA, like intelligence, you have control of the military, right? So the president is very scary because they're also commander-in-chief. So there's a lot more to take care of there.
Well, that may be true, but what about during Biden's last term, multiple times he ignored the Supreme Court in getting rid of and canceling student debt for college students, as well as all the times that the Supreme Court has enlarged its own scope without any other form of constitutional review. How is the Supreme Court supposed to be checked? For example, with Trump ignoring potentially some different Supreme Court precedents, how is that Supreme Court's power ever supposed to be checked if the executive doesn't act outside of its previously understood powers, ever?
Okay, so you say basically the president needs to defy the Constitution because you think the Supreme Court is overextending their powers and cannot be checked. So like Biden, you started off with Biden. Biden did not ignore one Supreme Court ruling. He tried other functions to eliminate student loan debt or to reduce it. So when the courts told him no, he listened. There's not one point. You cannot find one case of Biden saying he's going to defy a Supreme Court ruling or a federal court ruling. He obeyed every a federal nationwide injunction. So Biden followed the courts. Trump is the one that is saying he might not follow the courts, and he has not for some circumstances or for some like rulings here. But yeah, where do you want to go from there?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's interesting because the judiciary has expanded its power consistently since the 1960s. If you look at what President Trump is doing, President Trump is effectively looking at the judiciary saying, okay, this place has way too much power, and he's challenging the authority of the judiciary. Now, if the American people believe that President Trump does a bad job, we live in a self-governing republic, it's very possible that the next Republican that goes up for the presidency could get absolutely slaughtered in an election. And I think that that's the natural check on the executive going kind of crazy as long as
but
they
when
still
the
respect.
Executive wants to seize voting machines, for example, because they falsely say they won an election they actually lost, then you get to a territory where you question if the elections are going to be free and fair if you re-elect someone who tried denying an election. And also like the judges right now going against Trump, even the craziest, most conservative judges are going against Trump for many of these cases. His own appointees, Reagan appointees, Bush appointees, his own Supreme Court is going against Trump. So if there's somehow a situation in which every single legal expert, left and right, even Trump's own appointees go against him, and he says the courts are doing a judicial coup, that's probably because Donald Trump is doing a coup. Donald Trump is violating the Constitution. Unless if Trump is right and everyone, including Trump's closest allies, are wrong.
If Trump really wanted to be a dictator, then why did Biden ever take power for 4 years? Why was there that weird 4-year gap? Do you really think that Trump wouldn't have been able to, at the conclusion of the 2020 election, sit there and go, okay, you know what? We're going to send the military into the Capitol. This is absolutely unacceptable. This fraud is, ridiculous. It would have been very possible for Trump, with support from tons of different crazy far-right militias in plenty of different states in America, to go out there and tear apart the Constitution piece by piece. He didn't.
I mean,
however.
I'd have more
There was a
respect
peaceful transition to power.
I have more respect for our servicemen. Trump was scared of going to jail. He might have been going to jail if he didn't pull back at that point. So like he almost got impeached. The only reason he did not get impeached is because Republicans said he's not going to be able to win again. Republicans after January 6th were saying that it was like almost as bad as 9/11. Like there were many of them making those comments. So like Trump did not have the power at the time.
Because you know that there's a
Trump's
very big
White House
difference
told
between
him
Liz
no.
Cheney
Like
and
Like Trump's defense secretary, Mike Pence, Trump's DOJ, like those people told Trump no when he tried doing this shit. So people did tell him no. Now he might be able to. But before he could not have done that at all. He did not have the ability to. He did as much as he could do with plausible deniability to not go to jail with January 6th, because he said like do it peacefully, but also you need to go wreck some shit up. Like he was able to like save himself there.
Okay, so if Trump really is a dictator, then why isn't he just completely ignoring the legislative body? Why is he even bothering to get a bill passed through it?
I'm saying he's an aspiring dictatorial force. He wants to be a dictator. He likes dictators. He loves dictators, actually. He loves being pampered like one. He wants to look like one. He wants the aesthetic of one. That's why the Oval Office is all gold, like he's some type of like prince from Africa. So like when it comes to what Trump wants, I'm saying he wants to be a dictator. I'm not saying he's not a dictator yet. He still needs to appeal to some of the functions of government, which is why he brought Abrego Garcia back to the U.S.
I mean, to be honest with you, I would argue that more Trump wants to be a strong man rather than a dictator. Those are two very different things. It's possible to have a strong, energetic executive. In fact, many of the earliest framers of our country's constitution believed that the executive needed to be energetic and strong. Donald Trump is a representation of that. Donald Trump
energetic
is the
and
ideal
strong?
executive. He's not a dictator. He's the ideal executive.
Energetic and strong?
Absolutely.
The guy who says, that's so unfair to me every time people ask him a question?
The same man who took a bullet in his head for our country.
No, okay, he didn't decide that. Okay, that was not his decision. You know, that was not his choice.
It was God's decision.
Wait, God killed Corey, the firefighter? Why did God do that?
God saved Trump.
Why did God kill Corey?
Well, sometimes a martyr makes a cause.
Wait, so God purposely made Corey a martyr?
He could have. I don't know. Am I God? You're not interviewing God right now.
Well, how do you know that God saved Trump then, if you're not God?
How else do you explain that?
Well, how else do you explain Corey dying?
Well, obviously it was God, but there's a difference between his permissible will versus his absolute will. Like,
okay.
We have free will, obviously. Like, the guy who took a shot at Trump was using his free will in a very, very negative manner.
But God made all of us, right? So God knew he was going to do that eventually. So there's not really free will in that sense, because God knows our actions at that point. God knows that. God's all-knowing. So, like, anyways, okay, so Trump, he starts off every question, all right? Let's say he took a bullet, all right? Okay, so he starts off every answer to a question with, that was so unfair to me. You're so nasty. Does a strong person talk like that?
Yeah, a man who's been persecuted by the whole country's elite class.
Does a strong man cry about being persecuted every time they talk?
The same elite class that you say Bernie Sanders is set out to destroy, you are right now defending. Bernie
Sanders does not say that was so unfair. He answers the question and he fights back. He fights against actual power structures. Donald Trump cries 24/7.
Well, he's clearly much less effective than Donald Trump is. Trump is the president right now for the second time. Bernie Sanders couldn't even beat Hillary Clinton. Brother, your worldview is
Democratic. Your worldview. If you think it's strong to say that's so unfair, then you might be celebrating Pride Month, brother.
Oh, so now being gay is bad?
No, I'm saying you're a beautiful person. But like
you're
in
saying
general,
I'm a beautiful
though,
person? So being gay makes you beautiful implicitly.
Yeah. Okay. So like with Trump, all right. So he's never taken responsibility for anything once in his life. Do you think he's ever taken responsibility for anything?
No, I can't think of a good time where he did.
Like, has he ever shown like what do you think is Trump's like most genuine moment caring for others?
Most genuine moment caring for others. I mean, I saw him hug that guy with Down syndrome once. So that was neat. He's I know he's helped different people in and around New York City. Many stories from people, fine, tremendous American patriots that have been helped by Donald John America.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't think someone who never worked a real job, someone who wears that much makeup, someone who cries every time they answer a question, I just don't think that person could be tough. So.
Well, is that person more? I mean, it's all about the framing. So you're framing it in that way. What about the guy who got shot prosecuted multiple different times, convicted as a felon, and then won a presidential election after all of that.
He cried during those things too, and he never accepted. He still lies about 2020, unless if you think he
Okay, so now crying during a time of great emotional stress makes you less of a man. I thought you were supposed to be the liberal here.
You're a good troll. You're really good at trolling.
Well,
good.
this isn't a troll. This is serious. Listen, this is the future of our country, and we're going to make America great again, whether you like it or not. Now, if that's dictatorial, so be it. We want our country to be great. We want our country to be great for our children, for our future. Why do you have a problem with that? What's wrong with making America great again?
Okay, so America right now is less trusted than China, okay, and we were more trusted with Biden than we are Trump because of our trade wars and because Trump is threatening to invade Canada.
Trusted
Iceland,
by the rest of the world?
Greenland,
our own people don't trust
Europe.
our government. Who cares what Canada thinks? Our own people don't trust our government.
So, like, against China, for example, do you think China's a threat to America?
If my name was Nikki Haley, sure.
Who do you think, okay, globally, which countries do you think are a threat to America?
Which countries do I think are a threat to America?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Honestly, I would say Russia. I would say, more seriously, I would say China. But with that being said, I don't think China's as much of a threat as people make them out to be. I think they're something of a paper tiger, if I'm being entirely honest with you.
Okay, well, China has like a lot of manufacturing capacity. They have a lot of intelligence. They have a lot of human capital.
And their economy's been in recession for 3 years now, dude.
Yeah, but they're still growing. Like America right now is
they're not growing. They have a housing crisis that's 3 times worse than our 2008 housing crisis.
Okay. Well, China has a lot of resources. Okay, China is a manufacturing giant. In the modern era,
so
that's
does
really
South
beneficial.
Africa.
Okay, so China has a very unique economy because they have high-skilled, high manufacturing workers. Okay, so they can operate precision machinery. That sounds weird. Machinery as well. So like they have a special kind of workforce. Okay, they have a special kind of workforce. China's very strong. Okay, so like globally, China liking us is not as big of a deal as like, so we probably need Canada to like us. We probably need Mexico to like us. We probably need Europe to like us because those are free democracies. We want to be friends with democracies. Do you agree?
Why? Dude, what allegiance do you have to democracy as the American president? You have an allegiance to the American Constitution, both uppercase and lowercase. You have first an allegiance to the American people, and second, an allegiance to the document that governs the American people. Now, I don't see any benefit in the United States simply helping European countries because they're democratic.
No, I'm saying we need good partnerships with free countries. It's probably a good thing for free countries to become allies against authoritarian countries.
I don't see a benefit for the United States in that. I care more about the people of the United States than people that live in Ukraine or Israel, for example.
How did Pearl Harbor happen?
Japan was a hyper-militaristic, traditional society with a warrior ethos that we couldn't even understand. And
a warrior
FDR provoked
ethos
them.
we could not even understand. Oh,
This
you
is
sound
true.
like Pete Hegseth right now.
How do I say this is actually just true? You
Well,
know, there were
Hegseth talks
stories
about the warrior
of
ethos.
Japanese. This is true. There are stories of Japanese officers who were guarding the camps, and this is why there were so many atrocities committed by the Japanese officers guarding the prison camps against American soldiers. American soldiers would look them in the eye, and in Japan's warrior culture, that was something that wouldn't be allowed. So they would literally kill them for that because they believed that it was a great sign of disrespect.
Okay, so like how did America have to fight the American Revolution? How did Britain fight America?
How did Britain fight America?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Like during the War of 1812, during the impressment between the Revolution and then, or the Revolution itself?
Okay, so I'm just trying to make a point that things happen, you know? And sometimes when things happen, it's good to have friends. And right now in 2025, a lot of things can happen. And we want intel sharing, we want security sharing, we want technology sharing, we want economic sharing. and collaboration between free nations, because if there's ever another world war, we probably need allies that are other free nations, or if there's ever like a cybersecurity issue, if there's ever a trade issue, it's good to have partners in free states that share our values in some sense when it comes to democracy and freedom and civil liberties, I'd say.
Well, I think the difference in both your worldview and mine is that I don't think we need friends and partners because we're the strongest country on earth. I think we need tributaries. I think that we will happily assist other smaller nations, because every other country on earth is a smaller nation, if they assist us and the American people.
America is the richest and strongest country globally because of our partnerships and collaboration, because of things like NATO and our trade agreements.
No, that's because we have the global currency.
Yeah, but we got that because we were able to steward the world out of World War II and be able to create partnerships and help rebuild the world.
We had the only industrial economy in the world that wasn't destroyed. That's why that happened.
Yeah. Okay, so America making partnerships and leading gave us global prominence that was able to survive and last for a long time. And we can treat countries like partners. We don't need to be overpowering countries, because if we overpower countries, they'll just go somewhere else. They won't want to work with us.
Okay, well then what's Germany going to do? Are they going to go to Russia or China? Because there's really no one else. Okay, fine, let them do that.
I mean, if Trump's going to be threatening to invade like Canada, and if he says the EU was made to screw over America, if he says like Ukraine's dictatorship in Russia is our friend and we're going to leave NATO, then yeah, I mean, at that point, China and the US are a toss-up for trade agreements, and China might be more stable for some things.
Okay, if people believe that China's more stable, then why aren't they flocking into the arms of China right now?
They are.
Right now, the Chinese economy is in shambles.
But China's manufacturing output and their trade deals with other countries other than America is at all-time high because America has embargoed itself. So like China made new trade deals with a bunch of other countries. So China's doing really well when it comes to the bare bones, the real economy with actual materials exchanges, and their footprint overall globally, and their influence is spreading, and our influence is retreating as we kill things like USAID and our foreign development programs and everything like that. Whether you agree with it or disagree with it, we're helping China by removing those things.
Doesn't our influence kind of need to retreat, though? Haven't we understood this for a very long time? That right now our country's sick. There are so many people right now that are in poverty, that are starving, that don't have access to the same lifestyle that their parents or even grandparents had access to.
Yeah, the wealthy are the issue there. The wealthy are the problem there, not our trade deals. And it's not giving like 12 cents AIDS treatments to kids.
Who are the people that negotiate the trade deals? Do you believe that politicians are bought by the wealthy?
I think they're influenced by the wealthy. But
okay.
I would probably say we need to tax the wealthy more.
Politicians are influenced by the wealthy, and then the wealthy help set forward those trade deals. Who are the trade deals benefiting?
Yeah, they benefit the wealthy, but they also benefit America as a country too. But we have to make sure it benefits working people in America
but which
more.
kind of Americans do they benefit? Because they benefit wealthy Americans. Do you
I'm
really
not
believe
contesting that. I want to tax the wealthy more.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm all for a punitive tax on superstores, even.
Okay, but when I say the trade and everything, our trade routes stay open largely when we help countries. We avoid wars by giving foreign support to countries. We avoid mass migration by helping Guatemala build up their farming capacity. So that's very cheap when it comes to the alternatives. It's good to spend money in those areas.
Yeah, I mean, that's just economies of scale.
But Doge broke those programs. So the programs that helped Guatemala build up their pea farms on Doge, they were talking on Fox News, Doge was, and they were laughing at it. They were helping pea farms and pea markets in Guatemala. It's yeah, there's actually reasons we did that. So Doge cut a lot of programs that did really good things. Even if you think it was bad, like USAID and stuff, they cut a lot of good programs.
No, I think that Doge is pretty retarded. I'm not a huge fan of Elon, so.
Okay.
I could have common ground with you on that, but to be honest with you, I think that a lot of foreign aid generally and a lot of America's foreign policy does need to be brought back to the United States. There were some examples of USAID being essentially used as a way to transfer funds into different NGOs and left-wing social activism places around the rest of the world. Obviously, that's not great, but things like helping industries and struggling in poor countries, I'm in favor of that. I think that's a very reasonable and prudent thing.
And I won't disagree that some causes went to more gay organizations, for example, but Trump also gave he gave his daughter, I think, like $100 million in USAID money or something crazy to help with her like women's initiative globally. So I mean, even Trump like used certain parts of it for just like, and that's his first term that he did that. So like you can talk about different things and different ways they're used. But yeah, I mean, overall, the Doge stuff is kind of crazy. Okay, let's end on something. Let me think. What do you want to end on in this call?
Let's do immigration. Have we done immigration yet? Because I know you were saying something about that in the last caller.
We have not done immigration.
Okay, let's do immigration. I think immigration is probably the largest thing, more hurtful than billionaires to the American working class. And I would like
So,
for
like,
you,
okay.
as a left-wing progressive, a left-wing populist, if I'm going to put you in that box, to defend how immigration helps the American working class.
So when it comes to helping the American working class, there's a really complicated economic conversation there when it comes to the benefits. Okay. Now, what I like to talk about first with immigration is like under Biden, way too many people came to America, largely because of post-COVID. America was running very effectively as an economy. We had opportunity here. We needed workers. And countries in like Central America were not doing good. Okay, so that's a big reason we had a lot of people coming over, and we had a huge amount of asylum claims. You could say a lot of people came over, and we needed different laws. Okay, so you could say that, and also what Trump says about immigrants when he talks about them almost in like a purely negative light about them being killers and SA people that assault people. I try not to say the word to get demonetized on TikTok. But yeah, saying they're like these evil, disgusting people coming over. The idea that they're like there's a large percentage of immigrants that are coming here to do crime is extremely disproven. So you could say there's way too many people that came over, but also immigrants in general do not do like huge amounts of crime. Would you disagree with that? Or?
I mean, okay, I don't really disagree with that, but I think that immigrants themselves coming over are bad for the American working class. It's a basic issue of supply and demand. If you bring over millions of people, both legal and illegal, you bring those into our country every single year, what winds up happening? It's basic supply and demand. There's more consumers for American products, which then brings up the prices and makes inflation worse, including wage inflation. Why do you think it's so difficult? Or it should, forgive me, include wage inflation, but it doesn't, because over 50% of illegal immigrants are on government assistance. And this,
So every
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. Wait, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. But look, that's not true. So, who funds the studies?
Every study in the world, every data set I've looked at contradicts you. Okay, and when it comes to the math and the logic behind it,
economic studies?
every
people with money.
institute in the world has done a study on this.
Okay, so it's people with money. Who are the people with money?
Anti-immigrant think tanks, pro-immigrant think tanks, libertarian think tanks, socialist. Every single type of institution has done research on this. You need money to do research, but it's not that hard to find a grant for every ideology for this type of research. I promise you. You could say different areas fund different research or different people fund different research, but it's not that expensive to do a data analysis on the economic data of immigration.
Okay, let's do basic, simple analysis on this. If you have 10 people in one town, in 10 houses, and then you have 20 people in one town, and there's still 10 houses, what happens to the price of those respective 10 houses?
With immigration, for example, we bring immigrants in. They do more active labor, so they'll actually build more houses, make housing cheaper, if you want to use that example. So more houses will be built because we have more active labor force.
So that's actually not true. If you look, the average wage of an immigrant 20 years after America, or after being in America, is below the average wage of an American after working for 20 years, and it's below that average by around $30,000. This is due to how difficult it is to learn another language, as well as the fact that, let's just be honest about this, we have an open welfare state to the rest of the world. How stupid is that? All these people have to do is come here.
Open welfare state.
Yes, we do. All these people have to do is come here and have one child. According to the Congressional Budget Office in 2022, during the first 2 years of Biden's term, if you look at what was happening, we spent over $2 billion on Medicaid for illegal families.
Okay. So like that's when it comes to emergency care, I think we should be giving humans emergency care. Okay, if they're in America, they need emergency care. I think that's fine.
Well, why
that's
are they in America?
That's barely any money compared to even one rich person's taxes that they do fraud on. And the IRS right now being defunded by Trump is going to cost us like $200 billion. So like when it comes to priority setting, okay, priority setting. Wait, what's good?
The IRS being defunded. I want people to
really
get
bad.
away with their taxes.
That's really okay. You want the ultra wealthy to be able to avoid taxes?
How many people do you really think that you need to staff to go after the ultra wealthy? Who do you think they're really going to go after if they hire a bunch of different bureaucrats? They're going to go after political opponents, middle class people. With less staff, it's going to focus them on the higher echelons of society.
Trump dismissed was the division that goes after high profile cases. That's the division Trump dismissed. Is the people that are the ones that go after rich people.
That's not good.
Believe it or not, the average Joe's taxes are not
Republican.
interesting. The average Joe's taxes are not that interesting. It's better for, if you care about the deficit, you should probably want to fund the IRS. It's just like a simple policy
I don't
thing.
care about the deficit. The deficit's fucked. We're never paying that back.
Okay. GG's, guys. We're screwed. Give up, everyone. All right.
Don't give up. Just what's the plan to get out of it? Hyperinflation?
You just tax the wealthy appropriately, probably. You give a path,
really?
a path to citizenship too, so immigrants can all pay taxes too.
Then what happens when there's an inevitable brain drain like in Europe?
The biggest brain drain in U.S. history is happening right now because of Trump demonizing and terrorizing college kids and cutting off international students who could be coming to America to study. So they're all draining.
Oh, so
to
sad.
Europe,
No more rocket scientists. The Haitian rocket scientists will have to stay in Haiti.
Unironically, yeah, we are losing a lot of great like top cancer researchers. And I can tell now that you're probably just a racist person, but like it really is America's best strong suit that keeps us competitive. With
I am
China.
the least racist person maybe ever, possibly since Lincoln, but at that point it's closed.
Hey, you're a funny guy. All right, I appreciate the call. You go have fun on your 4chan Reddits or whatever the fuck you do. Have a good night. Okay, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Please consider donating to Jolah Politics. Welcome if you're new to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much, $10, Teresa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Somebody's mad. I'm very mad since Lincoln. Yeah. W caller. More rocket scientists. Actually, yeah. Believe it or not, we are losing top researchers. Yeah. It's okay. We have Grok. Guys. We don't gotta have researchers here. Give them all to China and Europe. We don't need researchers, dude. Researchers, give me a break. Research my ass.
Call from.
Wait a second. Oh. Okay, brother. Okay, call back. Call back, buddy. Call back. You're a racist. You're racist. You're so racist. You're racist. You're racist. Here you go. Oh man. Call back, brother. I'm waiting for the calls. The lines are open. The lines are open. Please drop a like and subscribe. Research Jolah's ass. Yeah.
Call.
Don't wait for me because I have a lisp. You stupid butthole. You stupid asshole. You're a stupid asshole. Okay, I don't want to talk again. Don't call me again. We just talked. We just talked for a long time, buddy. We just talked for a half hour. I'm not talking to you again, buddy. Oh no. Hi. Howdy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up?
Just was listening to you. I just had scrolled through and saw your interaction with the last gentleman. You did well.
Okay, thank you.
But I was just disagreeing with you on some of your points about as far as illegal immigration or immigration and how it impacts America and how you felt it didn't impact America. And what people don't realize is before 9/11 and everything, you used to just walk over the border and they'd use our emergency rooms like it was a primary care facility, and then you just pay your quarter and go back over. And people don't realize that makes all of our prices go up. And you can never have any nation, and every nation, first world nation and not first world nation, does have immigration pauses, even for legal immigrants, because you're trying to, like in our case, we want to be a melting pot, not a salsa pot. So you can't have large groups of the same income bracket, that's lower income bracket, into your nation, because then your students and your kids, they don't get as good as an education because there's so much ESL, because those children need support, not because they're dumb, but because they don't know the language yet, or their parents don't know the language yet and can't support them and get the work done. So they have to dumb down the majority to accommodate the minority. Does that make sense?
Well, we have issues with educating kids with American citizens. It's not really just an immigrant thing. Like, there's issues with having enough resources for public education in general, and
that's
big
mostly variable.
No, but that's not nearly so. Like, when it comes to like the medical side, I know probably more Americans going other places for medical procedures and paying and coming back over coming back to America so they can do it cheaper somewhere else. So like there's a lot of take and give everywhere with like medical stuff.
Right, but the Americans are paying in those places, correct?
By far, here's the issue though.
Here's the issue.
The big issue is that by far, in every data set, in every policy analysis, the biggest issue with healthcare costs are monopolization, our healthcare networks, our hospitals, and hospitals having insurance programs that create these natural monopolies in different areas that will up the cost,
yes,
decrease.
Those are variables.
Those are the biggest. Those are by far the. Those are by far the biggest. Those are by far the biggest variables. But that doesn't mean that
the other variables
many
aren't large numbers. Does that make sense?
They are not large numbers in the total context of. But in the total context of costs, it's a very small percentage of what the cost is.
So how much does the average emergency room visit cost?
I don't know how much the average emergency room visit costs, but when we look at the economic analysis,
so if you're letting tens of millions of people have access to that for
we're not letting tens of millions of people.
We do.
Do you really think there's tens of millions of people coming? The idea there's tens of millions of people coming over is certified by no data at all. Even through every year of Biden combined, we did not really get 10 or 20 million people.
Have you ever lived in San Diego?
It doesn't matter.
Arizona,
I have the numbers. You did not personally watch every single person cross the border.
You're using logical fallacy.
You did not watch every single person cross the border in Mexico. I'm using data sets. You can't just say the word logical fallacy. That's not how you win an argument. Okay. You saying you live by the border. Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you using
me? Okay, I'm citing data. No, I'm citing data from Customs and Border Patrol or from border agents. Okay. I'm citing data from all of Biden's presidency, and then you said because you live near the border, you know better. You used the fallacy in this conversation. I just don't say the word fallacy. Because I'm not gay and autistic,
but using those type of data and statistics that are biased doesn't necessarily mean it's not a logical fallacy. Because I'm sure I can look up somewhere and find something to counter that on the opposite end. So it's not about Biden, it's not about Trump, it's about what do the American people want and what are our standards, so that when we do vote and stuff, we're doing it from a logical place with set standards, not that flip-flop every other year based on who's popular and who's liked and who put more money into it.
Trump won out of being popular. There's no plans that Trump ran on that were good. So like, okay, federal spending right now, let's see what year this is. 2016, 2020, 2021. It seems looking through, let's see, cms.gov, the amount of emergency Medicaid that goes to immigrants is 0.2% of Medicaid spending. So like, it's a very small
but you know what?
number.
They don't count the children of illegals as
they count all undocumented. No, it counts all undocumented.
They do not count the children. Because children are automatically, no matter who they belong to.
This data set does take that into it takes everyone into account who's not a citizen in these conversations. Okay, so like
they do not
people
count
crossing the border. You just said people come over the border, get healthcare, and that's the reason healthcare costs are so much in America. If that's only 0.2% of, if that's only 0.2%, if that's only if that's only
this was before 9/11.
If that's only 0.2% of Medicaid, which is one section of healthcare. When it comes to private insurers, Medicare, Medicaid, when it comes to CHIP for children, when it comes to all these different forms of healthcare, the immigrants do not make up nearly enough of a percentage of total recipients of healthcare in America to affect the prices.
I beg to differ.
I mean, you can beg to differ, but I mean, every study I've seen,
You
even
can't
when it comes to
say
wages,
that
immigrants don't affect wages that much either. It's just that's a
pretty sure they don't
illogical
affect
thing.
wages much.
They
You have
don't.
to
There's no. You have
They
to find.
have to
I mean, if
hire
you can find
people
one
to
study,
translate
then
for them.
so they
How,
create more jobs for Americans who can translate. No, but like, I'm just saying, when it comes to the
well,
economic,
if you have a Chinese person that learned English to get a job, and now they have to learn Spanish. Yeah, you're costing them a
well,
job
immigrants
opportunity.
immigrants
They don't make
are a
things
plus for the
cheaper. It costs
economy.
us more in the long run.
Immigrants
We
are a
don't
plus for.
need
No, it doesn't cost more.
how
America
you.
needs good.
Okay,
Because America needs
no,
human
you're saying
capital. America needs people still.
that's
We have a
you know
low
what you're
birth rate. We
asking
need
for when you
people.
say that. That's actually indentured servitude, where you want to give people who come work some liberties in exchange for their work, or American citizenship in
No,
exchange
but
for their work. If you're going to have that, then you need to open it up globally and call it what it is. That's indentured servitude. You're exploiting people from
I do not
impoverished
want to
places,
exploit people. I don't want to exploit people. Okay,
but
I
you're
want to
saying
give
that it's
everyone
a
a
good
path to
thing that's saving us
citizenship.
money. We don't need
No, I
500 apples
think
on display for
this
psychological
country
marketing.
has so this country has treated immigrants badly, even white immigrants like Irish and Polish and German and Italian.
And
Okay, so all those immigrants are
yeah,
treated badly in
and Trump was
America.
one of the ones that didn't even pay
Um,
his Polish contractors, correct?
yeah, Trump would pay no one. Trump was really bad at
Yeah,
that. He bragged about doing that even during this campaign.
exactly. And I'm
Yeah,
not a
but
fan of
I
him
think that's
for
a
even
bad
in the
thing. No,
business
but
world.
immigrants are good for the economy in general because they're still going to come
Legal
do jobs.
immigration is
So
very
like
good.
even for fair wages. No, I mean, yeah. So like we want people to come in legally. Yeah, definitely. But like when it comes to the effect of like immigration in general, like the high immigration numbers under Biden, there was not a huge effect for crime rate or wages or anything in America. Like we still
There
had.
was also a lot of shutdown at the time.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like when it comes to top problems affecting Americans and society, immigration is a very big emotional point for people. But when it comes to like healthcare and
I'm
wages
naturalized.
and livelihood, no, I'm just saying like when it comes to like the fear of immigrants that Trump tries to bring up, because Trump only brings up negative things about immigrants. He only brings them up in the context of like assualting people, pretty much. Like that's the only time he never
But the other side,
talks about
but on the
immigrants being
other
good
side of
people.
on the flip side of the coin, the other side paints them as sugar coated and romanticizes how naive and soft and I don't
You
buy
see,
either
like,
side of it.
but the
I
issue
don't
is
believe
that
either side of
Obama
it.
and Biden had
I'm a
higher
realist.
deportation rates than Trump. So like, and Kamala Harris wanted to be a border hawk as well. It's just like Democrats are not completely dehumanizing to immigrants, so therefore they treat immigrants good. I mean, you could say AOC, for example, has really good language for immigrants. But like
But
Democrats as a
language
whole,
but that's calling somebody a bitch while you're smiling. When you're sitting there treating them like they're naive or too dumb or they're ignorant
it's not
or
about being
incapable.
dumb. It's about just
But
like
that's what they. But
caring about
that's how
people.
That's how the
Wait,
left approaches
what
it.
do they say then? What do they say
They're
that makes you say that?
helpless. They need us. They can't stand on their own. They can't do it themselves.
The
Like
thing I
as
hear
if
right
those
now is that
countries.
we should let people become citizens to work in America. There's nothing about like they can't stand on their own.
We have legal paths to that way.
Yeah, but like if you are on a visa in America for
Look
20
at the
years and the
Philippines.
visa
Look at the
expires, so
Philippines.
like
What do those
okay,
people
so
do?
one
They know that
example,
only X amount of Filipinos are allowed in the U.S. a year. So they get jobs and skill sets like nursing, uh, skill sets they know that
yeah,
America
okay. So
needs.
one thing Trump is doing right now, okay? So there's immigrants who are on working permits or they're on a visa that renews every year. They do all the right steps, okay? The Trump admin's having immigration court cases where they bring them in and they say, "Hey, guess what? Your status is removed," and they detain them and put them in a jail. And they deport them. Okay, so that to me is a terrible policy. So when when the Trump admin talks about immigrants and he calls them all illegal alien terrorists, that's the kind of thing I want to prevent. Is when they do shitty stuff
His
like that to
verbiage
immigrants
is
who are
wrong,
doing it the right way.
but he's not
No,
doing
they're
anything
treating
illegal
people
as
the
far as
wrong
that's
way.
concerned.
They're treating people the wrong way. Okay, so even if it's not illegal to say, for example, here, come to your court date to get your visa renewed.
Trump did not
and
make these laws and these
Trump
options.
is abusing the law. Okay, so do you listen to what I'm saying? He is assigning people are doing the right thing. They're following the legal pathway to renew their work visa. They're working in America, paying taxes, and they're coming. Okay, listen. Can you listen for a second? Listen for a second. Okay, so they go to their court date like they're supposed to, and ICE right now, our tax dollars are paying for ICE to rip them out of their homes. Okay, when they think they're doing all the right steps because they are. And because we don't have a path to citizenship, we could take away their status and put them in a cage where they sleep on concrete for a month, and they get shipped back to a country.
They applied for that pass.
I am saying that is you do not need to treat them like, there's no law that says you need to remove someone's status. There's no law to say you need to take away their work permit and trap them to try and get your deportation numbers up. I am arguing about treating immigrants in a good way, in a way that's beneficial for America and also beneficial for the way we treat them. It's a shitty way to treat people. We don't need to be treating them in a dehumanizing way.
But it's not an illegal way to be.
That's not the conversation we are having. We're having a conversation about leadership, and we're having a conversation. But they are trapping people doing it the right way. People are doing the point is, these are people doing it the right way that Trump does not give a shit about. Even if you do it the right way in this America, Trump does not care if you do it the right way.
But the truth is, at the end of the day, even the right way is no guarantee. It was in the contract that you signed when you applied for those visas.
You're being okay.
I know we don't like it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, you can still critique it. Can you not critique it? Can you not critique it? Can you not critique it? Can you not say it's a bad practice?
You're getting mad at Trump, and I don't even like Trump, and I'm not even
because it's not
Trump.
something that happened under Biden, for example, or
the laws
Obama.
That are already there. He should have never been able to get that far with any of them. But did Congress or anybody close these loopholes? The last time Trump was in,
tried to.
They had the office after, right?
They tried to. Trump killed the immigration bill. Trump killed the immigration bill.
Biden did not close any of those loopholes.
But we can still critique Trump for treating people like that for no reason.
Because those elite families use them.
Can you be quiet for 2 seconds? Okay, can you please, can you ever stop talking? I'm sorry, but like seriously, dude. Like, okay, all I'm saying is there are people working their asses off. Can you please? There are people working their asses off in America. Okay, they're working their asses off.
Yes.
They're doing things the right way. They're peaceful people paying taxes. They get called to their court date, and their status is revoked. It's like, ta-da, magic trick. You're an illegal immigrant now. We're gonna put you in jail. That is shitty.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that's shitty.
It's not jail. It's a holding facility.
It is a concrete floor they sleep on, and they're treated like shit. Okay, it is still a cell.
Why is that?
Can you, please. I'm just saying, someone who is doing nothing wrong, paying taxes.
That it's wrong.
So it is shitty. Okay, so it is shitty.
It is shitty.
Yeah, okay, so, but it's not something that's legally required. They don't need to be removing, like, student visas for over their speech about like, criticizing Israel, for example. It's still shitty.
Right.
It's still something I think they shouldn't do on First Amendment principles in America.
Well, wait,
so,
that depends. If you're a citizen, then no, they shouldn't. But if you're a visiting, we have to sign paperwork when we go to college that say, like, if I'm on a visitor visa of any sort or traveling, I can't participate in protest or political blah, 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 blah. It's all in the contract that we voluntarily sign when we come to America to go to school.
Immigrants still have legal First Amendment protections. Even Antonin Scalia reinforced that. Okay, they have due process and First Amendment protections.
On a student visa isn't an immigrant. Somebody on a student visa is a guest in a foreign nation. That's not the same
someone who's a guest here. So, for example, if someone's here and they're a tourist, we're not going to arrest them if they say something about America's policies towards Israel, because America, every person on American land.
If they organize a protest or go to a protest, they can be deported and told to leave and banned.
They can, just by simply going to a protest is not the standard to be like deported or kicked out of America suddenly through executive.
If you participate, the wording is very specific. I've signed it. If you participate in prostitution, gambling, blah, blah, blah. There's a list.
Prostitution, gambling.
Yeah, there's a whole different set of standards for visitors and people that are on their path to immigration than there are for American citizens. I don't know if people are aware of that or not. It's not bogus. There really is.
Do you think that a tourist in America, do you think a tourist in America cannot engage in a peaceful protest?
I'm not telling you what I think. I'm just telling you what I signed.
So if a student, someone on a student visa, I'm very confidently to say,
I voluntarily signed to come.
Okay, but I'm very confident to say that a student on a student visa cannot can legally walk in a peaceful protest if they want to, and it's not illegal in America.
Nobody's gonna enforce it in that situation.
It's not illegal in America. Okay, it's not illegal in America.
It's not about legality. It's that it does say that it can be enforced and you can face fines or be deported or face penalties for doing so. Now, whether or not it's enforced, that's the different story. And that brings me right back to where you and I are seeming to disagree, is because you're worried about what Trump's doing and comparing it to what Biden or somebody else is doing. And my point is, it shouldn't matter who's doing what. It's exposed, whether it's Biden or Trump, especially Trump. If you've learned anything, it exposed there's a lot of loopholes that were not made by him, that yes, he is
Yeah,
abusing
we
them,
know. No
but
shit,
Congress is
Sherlock. I
not
know. We
shutting them
know
down.
this. We know this. Yes, Congress is the issue. Congress is the issue. But right now we have Trump in office, and Trump is having the biggest infringement on the Constitution
He'll
of
be
any
in office
president in
for
the
what,
modern
2 more
era.
years, and he's 80-something
It's
years
not
old.
that
Or
simple. They were not going to leave last
he's
time
not so
peacefully.
scary to me.
No, but
I'm just
like,
not
okay,
scared of
I'm
him.
just you're just naive then. Like, there's no way that you
I'm
can.
naive.
Yes, if you think Trump is not a big threat right now when he's trying to suspend habeas corpus and
I
Fifth
guess
Amendment
maybe I'm
rights,
overexposed from living in Jordan, all over Europe,
probably.
being in the Middle East,
Yeah,
serving in the
maybe.
military.
Well, yeah, that'd be
Maybe I'm
yeah.
just
Honestly, yeah,
overexposed.
you saw a lot worse
Maybe
in
because I
America,
speak
but it
6
can,
languages.
but it
I'm
can
just
happen
too
here.
dumb to know what
But
the world is
I'm not
really about.
okay. You are very SJW pilled. Okay, I'm sorry, but you are very. I feel like I'm talking to a woke college kid. But like I respect your experiences. Okay, I really do. But I'm just saying in America right now, it can happen here. It can definitely happen here. And Trump has the leanings of a dictator. And we have to be very cautious of
could
it, which
happen here,
is
but it's not going to be
distinct from
Trump.
Biden.
Dictators
I
don't
think
lessen government; they expand it.
he is expanding. Trump is expanding government right now. He's literally growing our government spending in only the military. He's cutting social services, cutting funding for judges. He's attacking judges, saying there's a judicial coup, and he's expanding the police state. He's expanding contracts with Palantir. He's expanding ICE, and
Big
he's
Mac is
expanding
going to kill
DHS.
Trump.
He is literally
he's not going to be
expanding.
here forever.
Okay,
He's
but
just
what you just said about dictators, about them making government bigger.
the
Trump is
Congress
making.
with-
Trump is making. Okay, this is when you sound naive when you try to talk over me again. Trump is making the parts of government bigger that have authority to restrict freedoms. The
Yeah,
intelligence
and you can
agencies,
stop calling
Palantir.
or stop doing the whole like slapping when you're desperate and calling people naive or down talking me because you don't
I'm
know
not
how to
down
handle what
talking
I'm
you.
saying, or you
I
don't
can
like
handle
my
what you're saying. I'm just
personality.
trying to say that you just
You're
contradicted
smiling and
yourself.
calling me bitch, but you think you're being pleasant
Whoa,
and
whoa, I
professional.
didn't say that. I did not say that. What the hell?
That's what you're doing, though. You're smiling while you're calling, and you think that that's called being respectful
didn't say
or
that.
something. You have, but if you don't like my tone, it's disrespectful because of my tone.
I
Even
did
though
not
didn't
say you're
say a single thing.
disrespectful.
I didn't
did
call
not
you
say
a
you're
dumb shit.
disrespectful.
I didn't say
didn't
anything
call you-
about your ignorance
Okay.
or your age.
I didn't call you
But
ignorant
yet
or your age. I didn't say
you
anything
said
about
you're
your age either.
naive, you're this, you're that,
Yeah,
you're
no,
this, you're
yeah.
that.
That was one comment I
I'm
made
stupid.
about your one opinion. Okay, I'm sorry I offended you. I did not say.
You
I
said
did not.
I'm not
I only
offended.
said one
I'm
of the
just
things you
pointing
just
out.
said.
I'm just
I only
pointing
said
out
one of the
your
things you just listed.
inconsistency
I only said
and your
one thing you
standards
just
are
listed.
questionable.
I
It
only
doesn't
said
make
one
you
thing.
sound
Okay,
credible.
I understand. You sound really upset. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I'm really
okay?
not upset.
Okay,
I was
then
just
stop
pointing it out.
complaining. Okay,
Again.
then stop complaining. Okay.
Oh, so I have to stop complaining?
You're getting upset again.
I'm upset. You're so weird, dude. You think somebody's upset because of the way my tone is and everything. It's just because I have a head injury from a freaking mortar attack. I'm not upset at you. I don't have any emotion attached to the things you're saying. I was just pointing out you really are full of logical fallacies.
Okay, thank
Whether
you for your
you agree
service.
or
Have a good
disagree
night. You're not gonna. I'm sorry. That person is manipulative. I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing that. Thank you for your service, but I'm not doing that whole thing. Like if you're gonna, like it's like I said, you're using the whole like I'm gonna list all my stuff to make you feel bad about contradicting my opinion. Like it's a discussion. I'm not doing that. I'm not being, I'm not doing that, bro. Oh my goodness. Like yeah, it's interesting. Cool. That is a based recovery though. That is based. Like if you lose an argument, you could just be like, "Hey man, I'm not mad. I just have this injury." It's like I respect that. I really do genuinely respect that. I really do respect that. But like, bro, she was very upset, and I'm sorry for speaking to her like I speak to everyone else. I should have spoken to her in a different way than I speak to other people. Because I know that she would have got well, actually, I did not know she was going to get offended, okay? I guess I need to moderate my language when talking to women. I'm sorry. Because if I talk in the same way I talk to a man, then they're going to get offended. LOL. Red pill be like. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I mean, yeah. Bro, don't insinuate calling her a. Yeah, like where did that come from? You called me a bit. It's like what? When did I call you that? No, that's annoying though, because that's like the type of person that'll try to get you canceled. It's like what? I know I never said that. That's a logical fallacy, dude. Okay, who else is gonna call in? I'll take one more. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. If you donate to Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, I'll stay on longer. Oh, crap. I appreciate everyone for the stream. We got good numbers tonight. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Jolah.
Good evening. How are you?
Very good. Hey, I'm first time I've ever seen your channel, and I'm really enjoying it.
Thank you. I don't enjoy it, but I'm glad you do.
No, actually, it's really refreshing to see just civil discourse and opinion, and not what YouTube has, just a lot of snowflakes just blathering about themselves, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll be the only well, I know some liberal non-snowflakes, but I mean, when it comes to the left and right, I think most of the content creators, I mean, even like the Benny Johnsons, like even like the Charlie Kirk, I feel like they just whine a lot nowadays. The Dean and Parker on TikTok, they just kind of whine a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'll preface this by saying I'm definitely a Trump supporter. I've been following politics avidly, basically since Gerald Ford. So I've seen the change the United States has gone through over the last 50 years, where we were and where we are today. And I like I'll be honest with you, I really like what Trump is doing. We've unfortunately reached a point in society where there's no more negotiation that's available. He'd love to negotiate, make deals. That's what he's really good at. But we're just at a point right now, we've lost the fabric of our Constitution, our society. And somebody just had to put their foot down and say, we need to get back to some semblance of structure and normalcy. And then we can debate about how we should improve the country. But we've actually lost our sovereign borders. And I think you're doing a great job on putting it back in place.
Okay, so oh boy. In America right now, I mean, I think pretty much everything Trump has done has been bad for the country his second term. I think the first term you could find some things that were okay. But the second term, when it comes to America's position on the global stage, when it comes to America and our ability to keep talent in America, like our brain drain to other countries, we're losing a lot of researchers, we're losing a lot of economic output, a lot of faith in societies being lost. I think the 2020 election lies are pretty unforgivable. As someone who works with elections pretty intimately, the way he lies about those puts people that I care about in danger every day, just for doing their job, watching the polls and making sure votes are counted correctly. And I really don't like the conspiratorial attitude everyone has towards everything nowadays, and I feel like that largely comes from Trump. And also like Stephen Miller, he talks every day about suspending habeas corpus, suspending the Fifth Amendment, suspending the 14th Amendment, denaturalizing people, talking about sending people to El Salvador. Like, I just think all those things are kind of, going the wrong direction.
Okay. Well, you hit on, I think it was like 5 different distinct topics, and that's a whole lot of talking we can do. No
Pick
doubt.
one.
But the one I initially started with, the border, how do you feel that either he's doing good or bad at the border? What is your opinion on his current status and direction for maintaining that border?
I think a true leader would get a policy passed through Congress to change the actual laws instead of doing things that are illegal to make sure border crossings are lower. He's using ICE as a police force to terrorize people in America. I'm very confident of that. I think there's a reason he's sending like 50 ICE agents to go after college students for writing op-eds, and they're camping outside of like immigration courts and Home Depots and stuff. It's because they're not going after violent criminals like they claimed. So yeah, I think the way he talks about immigrants and treats immigrants is really shitty. And the border, He killed the immigration bill. If Trump right now, if he wanted to pass an immigration bill to change the asylum laws, he could. Like, he could easily. Democrats would vote for it, but he just doesn't.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on the fabric of the constitutional law between the Senate, the Congress, and the presidential executive branch. But clearly, the defense of our border falls directly under the executive branch. And that's because of A, the constitutional article, and B, because somewhere within, I want to say the Bush era, we decided that Congress no longer has to declare war in order to have military action. And I think that's based upon the precept of the Nixon era of saying we're going to have a police action in Vietnam. It's not a war. It's more of a police action. And I think we casually meld ourselves into accepting the fact that we no longer have to follow the Constitution if we're going to go ahead and act in a foreign country. So I think that's one of our failures in terms of Senate and Congress and keeping to the very guidelines we're supposed to have on
Well,
the
what do you
action
think
in a
about
foreign country.
what do you think about Trump saying then that he needs to primary Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, because they're saying that we need to bring back American presidential powers and reel it in, and Trump wants to fund their primary opponents because they dare vote against his bill?
Well, I look here's how I look at that. I look at it as there's Trump the president, there's Trump the politician. So as a president, he wants to do the job of, securing the country. As a politician, he says, well, I would rather have more guys thinking like me, so I'm going to encourage the Republican Party to primary people that are actually, well, we have a term for it. It's called rhinos. It's Republicans in name only. And so if they display that characteristic, then yeah, you're not a true conservative of trying to say limited government, limited taxes, more profit to the American people. And so if they act that way, then I can see them saying, yeah, well, we got to primary these guys and get them out of the mix.
No, but their argument is that they want to cut spending, though. They said they want to cut spending and lower the deficit, or at least not increase it. Because Trump's budget increases the deficit more than the COVID stimulus did. And that's really, really bad, because COVID at least had a reason for it. But Trump wants to do the same increase outside of COVID times.
Well, I mean, our U.S. economy only has $4 trillion to play with from start to finish. And the fact that we're, $37 trillion in debt already, even if we spent all of our economic juice on paying down the debt, we still couldn't get there, because we're closer to 125% GDP now. And so even if we were to say, hey, we still got to function, but let's set a little more aside on our budget to pay down the debt, like a credit card, it still would take us forever to get there just about.
Well, yeah, but the deficits are huge for no reason other than wealthy tax cuts. And we're killing programs like Medicaid. We're cutting those a lot, which is going to really hurt local economies and rural economies and a lot of people.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at Medicaid currently, like you're talking about the Big Beautiful Bill, the Big Beautiful Bill does not cut the Medicaid that it is intended to service. What it's going after is Medicaid for able-bodied men and women age 18 and up that should be working. Instead, they're getting a government check for kind of faking it till they make it.
But that's the thing, though. Medicaid is not a government check, right? It's a health insurance. And I know the numbers behind this, and the numbers are not looking good. The cuts they make to Medicaid are going to get a lot of people. 99% of the people that are going to lose their insurance are people that deserve to have it for Medicaid.
Well, in actually, that particular topic kind of leads us into another topic, and that would be medical fraud. The current structure we have between it's an unholy alliance between pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, and hospital care groups that want to control the expenses and maximize profits.
Well, yeah. And someone mentioned how rural hospitals are going to close down if Medicaid is reduced by this amount. I think around 400 might close down, and that'll leave people who do not have Medicaid, who are on Medicare or who have private insurance, or even some Medicaid recipients, those people are going to lose their local hospitals. That's also thousands of people losing their jobs in these rural hospitals as well, because Medicaid is a way to redistribute money into local economies, right? So like, that's a pretty big impact, and we're doing that to service tax cuts for the wealthy. It just seems, it just seems like we're going the wrong direction.
Well, actually, I agree with you on that point, because the rural communities they're already struggling to begin with to develop their own economy, and yes, any cutting is going to, in a trickle down effect, is going to affect rural communities. As a matter of fact, last week Josh Hawley, in a congressional meeting, brought that up. He was so mad at Allstate, and he used Allstate as an example, because his state has lost 400 private pharmacies in his state because of these basically monopolistic groupings that control, the large insurance companies, the large expenditures for accidents and recovery for accidents. And so he was bringing up personally for his state the impact he's getting upon some of this monopolistic action. So I don't think you can point to just one factor that's causing that. I think it's a culmination.
Well, Rick Scott, you know Rick Scott, right? Rick Scott.
Groups,
you know what Rick Scott did, senator from Florida?
In Florida?
Yeah.
Which thing? What topic?
Rick Scott, he did one of the largest Medicaid frauds in American history with his company.
Don't doubt it.
Yeah, you can look up the court cases with him. It's just funny seeing people like him who did defraud Medicaid, because the fraud issue with Medicaid is the purchaser. Okay, so my big issue with Republican politics in general is I think for every issue they pick the wrong side of the equation. So like, they blame immigrants for the companies that bring immigrants over. Or they blame they blame immigrants for fleeing from violent situations, or they blame workers for being on Medicaid when corporations don't pay their employees enough and they qualify for Medicaid and they don't give them health insurance, or they blame Medicaid recipients for Medicaid fraud when the Medicaid fraud is actually done by the ultra wealthy. The final point would be like, they focus on being mad at immigrants and being mad at welfare queens and whatever other trope they want to use, but they give a free pass to the wealthy, and throughout all the data I've seen, monopolization is by far the biggest issue. But I think if we keep on having a society that's mad at the wealth, or that's mad at the immigrants and mad at gay people or whatever, if we keep being mad at them as the number one enemies in society, I think we're never going to address the real issue, which is the people that have all the money. And like BlackRock, for example, like Trump is letting BlackRock eat. BlackRock gets huge tax cuts under Trump. So.
Well, I mean, I'll make one final point because I don't want to hog everyone else's time.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed after this. I'm getting a little sleepy, so. Yeah.
But I disagree with your premise. I think it's a simplified, sweeping generalization. I would agree that illegal immigrants are not a problem as a whole. Illegal aliens that are criminal organizations or criminally minded are violating the very principle of, it's a privilege to come to the United States. It's not a right. And when you come here, we ask that you treat us with the way we would like to treat you, with respect and kindness, and to be a wholesome member of our society, have a family, pay your taxes, enjoy your life. But please don't come here just to commit crime and harm other citizens. And I think that's where the conservative Republican movement starts. The other add-ons, I think, are just CNN and MSNBC kind of accusations. So, but
okay, I appreciate the call. If you watch my channel, I have a lot of other stuff going on, but I try to stream around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern time. At least like 3 or 4 nights a week. So yeah, if you come by my channel around that time, you might see me live. So I appreciate you watching. But yeah, if you want to call in another time, feel free.
I bookmarked it. I'm keeping it, and I'll be there. I'll be a regular follower now. And I hope to. I mean, I really hope to be your equal, and I want to debate you on every one of the topics.
We have a community of people that like to talk about this stuff too. If you want to get down with the technology and the website Discord, if you use that at all.
Oh, the Discord channels, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You said you knew who Gerald Ford was in politics, so I didn't know if you knew what Discord was. So.
Right. And that's a fair assumption. I'm going to be 60 this year,
Oh, that's
I
not too old.
started off in IT before there was never an IBM PC. So I've been in the industry for quite a long time. That industry, the insurance industry, and the pharmaceutical industry. So I've been
The big
privileged enough to
three.
be at the top of 3 different industries and to see what it looks like from the top down. So like
Well,
I said,
hey,
I
if you
would
want to support
love to
independent
bring.
media, I have a fundraising goal for a studio. If you check out my description, so yeah, if you
Yep,
want to donate in
I
my
saw that,
description,
and
look,
I'm going to contribute to your channel because I want you to keep going.
yes,
And this is really refreshing to actually have a. I mean, it's like a radio talk show, but it's
yeah,
on the internet, and you
yeah,
get
it's
to
like a
get to
and
engage.
YouTube Shorts is really accessible because people just like flip through their phone and they see a YouTube Shorts going on. So
Yeah, I've seen so much other garbage, and when I hit yours, I'm like, thank God, finally.
yeah, I appreciate
It
that.
discusses
As someone who
issues.
disagrees, I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I really do. I appreciate the forum in order to do that. Sad that some of the callers can't, stay in their lane. They're probably not very good debaters or presenters, so they won't be that anywhere in their lifetime. But
Well, the one woman was just having a breakdown, and I don't know what she was going on about.
yeah,
But like,
I
she's
was
like, "You called
watching
me a
that.
bitch." I'm like, "I did not. I literally did not call it. Like, what's going on here?"
Yep,
And
I watched
yeah.
emotions be inserted, and I watched feminism be inserted into the argument.
But she was more conservative too. But then she said she had a combat injury. Then I feel really. I mean, that's obviously meant to make me feel bad. It's like, okay, well, I'm sorry.
No, actually, debating is an art, and I used to belong to Toastmasters when I worked for Abbott
I've heard of
Laboratories.
that before. I forget who told me
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
it's a great public speaking forum where you learn how to public speak and you learn how to make an argument and how to stick to the argument without getting emotionally involved. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I love that.
Yeah. For anyone who wants to donate, also in my channel descriptions, there's the coffee.com/Jolah Politics. You see it on the screen as well, or at Jolah Politics. There's JOLAHPOLITICS on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. Appreciate everyone watching tonight. I'm gonna head to bed after this. But yeah, thank you for calling in, man.
All right, Jola, thanks much. Have a good evening.
All right, you as well. I think that was a good call to end on. Yeah, guys, I DoorDashed today from 7 a.m. to what time is it? From 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I got a second wind or a third wind or a fourth wind when I got back and I was able to stream tonight. I did not think, there's no part of me that thought I was going to stream tonight, okay? Especially after last night, I got 2 viewers and I got really upset and I got off. But I appreciate you guys watching tonight. We had a good stream, good viewership. Thank you guys for watching. I have to go to bed though. I'm going to crash. I can't believe I DoorDashed for 2, 3. How many hours did I DoorDash for today? Did I DoorDash for like 15 hours? Wait a second. I mean, I took some breaks in between. I'm trying to afford a new studio. That's why you got to donate. 15 hours, dude. What the? Thank you. Thank you, Rick, for the supporter tier. Oh, also, thank you for the donation on Cash App. I saw this earlier. Sabrina, thank you so much. You didn't call her a bitch. I don't like even saying that word. I don't even like I don't even like saying the word out loud when I'm reading something. You didn't call her a B word. I don't like it. I respect women. Thank you, Sabrina, for $10. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Good night tonight. But yeah, I'm a little tired. Thank you. I will get some rest. Rookie numbers, true. It ain't letting me call. Yeah, you can call tomorrow. Okay, you can call tomorrow. All right. If anyone donates when I'm off stream, I'll try to thank you next stream, or I'll send you like a thank you, MP. Thank you, MP, for $5. Have a good night. Get some rest. Thank you. I'll try. Got to do it again tomorrow. I have a certain goal of money I want to hit from DoorDash, okay, this weekend. So I have to do another 15 hours tomorrow. Unless if I get 1 million donations. Teresa. Did I see Teresa earlier? Trump is a wannabe dictator. I did not read it earlier. Thank you, though. Thank you again. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Yeah, I've been at it today. But yeah, the coffee link in chat, coffee, it's KO dash Is that a dash? I don't even. fi.com. It's on the screen. Jolah Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Jolah Politics. You could leave a message. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm on TikTok at Jolah Politics. All right, join Discord too. I always hop on Discord for a little bit after streams. So there's 4 people in there chatting right now. There's always some people talking in Discord. Okay, join me in Discord. Thank you, members. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone. 24-hour live stream. I would die. I'd have to. I don't know. I don't know how I would survive that. I did not even talk about Trump in California today. I don't live there. That's not real. How about that military parade though? I have immigration friends that came here to escape dictatorship in their country. They're now going back there because of Trump. That supported Trump. Oh, they supported Trump. They thought they were one of the good ones that Trump was going to keep here, huh? They should have learned. Amazon what? Oh, Flex? No. I saw your message. I never tried Amazon Flex. Okay. I never did try it. I can't get accepted to that where I am. Amazon Flex. I would do Amazon Flex though. Doing food is crazy. Nothing is real when you have Oxy. You're right, Oxy. Everyone take your Oxy tonight, okay? Everyone take your Oxy. Let me check my phone again. Nothing on Venmo. Nothing on Cash App. Let's see if there's anything on PayPal. Nothing on PayPal. All right, guys. Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Thank you for the glizzy. All right, see you guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. No place is like home, even if it is North Korea. Thanks. Yeah. Good. Nice. You have a good one as well. Have a good Saturday night. Night. You're gonna bet your life Trump lives in Qatar after this? Your life. Oh man.